and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. It's a sweltering day of the
ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Like I said, good afternoon. It's a sweltering day here in Africa. It's 83 degrees Fahrenheit, but there's not a breath of wind. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me this afternoon, I've got VM sitting here, burning in the sun too. Now, I hope that you're all well rested and ready to get the day started for the Sunset Safari, because VM and I are, so is Brent, and of course FW or Evia is around, and we're all going to quickly have a look. Fine sunny day. Right, it seems as though the gremlins are hopping on board. Let's go across to Evia and say hello to him.
Good afternoon, folks. How are we doing this afternoon? Lovely, humid and fairly hot day. I'm cleaned up after my swim this morning. Nice exfoliating shower I had. We're out here just outside of camp. We've got a big termite mound with some dwarf mongoose in them, or in it. They are hiding at the moment. We want to see if we can find them, if they want to show themselves again. While we're out here though, while we wait for them, see if they come out, the log or the tree that I'm sitting on is an apple leaf. It's fallen, it's been pushed over by elephants, it's been eaten on a bit. Yeah, apple leaves are quite good for for showing and indicating water. The area that we're in is on a bit of a slope. It's heading down towards the Djuma pan area, that drainage line that runs in front of it. So yeah, always good to look out for species that do show water. Apple leaf. This one behind me is a silver cluster leaf that also indicates water. If you're driving and it's fairly wet, not a good place to drive, you might get stuck. Herbert's just found a little tortoise. Let's go have a look. Let's see what's happening there. A little Speaks hinged tortoise. I'm not gonna pick him up. I'm gonna leave him. You can see how shy he is. With every little bit of movement, he's sticking his head out, pulling it back in. The hinge, will you be able to see? Let me move him a bit. Here you can see where the name of the hinge comes in. This closes a little bit to protect the back legs when predators start playing with them. Often lion and leopard cubs will play with these things. Sometimes you'll get bite marks on the shell itself. I was told quite an interesting story with regards to the tortoise. I was told by the Swazi people, just a bit further south of here, they've got a story of how the tortoises got to, well, apparently there were two tortoises, a male and a female. They were living together and lived together for many years. One day they went to the creator who created everything out here and asked for children. They haven't had children. They've had a long life but haven't had any children, and the creator said, no, the female is too old, she won't be able to it won't go well with laying the eggs and all that. But the male tortoise kept on going. He kept trying. He tried a couple of times until eventually the Creator said, yes, you've persisted. You've got the guts to come back to me and ask every time. And he allowed them to have children. So the female prepared herself. She ate well. And eventually she laid her eggs. She laid the eggs. After laying the eggs, she passed away. Unfortunately, the males passed away soon after, and basically from a broken heart with his long life with his female. And these little tortoises had to look after themselves. So from that day onwards, tortoises look after themselves from birth. The Creator shows them where to get food, where to get water, and where to survive. And that's also part of why they've got this hard shell. They go in and protect themselves from predators doing that. So quite an interesting little folklore that I thought I'd share with you this afternoon. Alright, let's carry on. Let's see what else we can find here. There's some oxpeckers calling in the distance. There is this dead tree. There's a crested barbet sitting in it, and there's some oxpeckers in the area as well, somewhere behind it. Maybe let's carry on. Let's try and see if we can find anything there. Maybe there's a big creature, maybe a big herbivore. Could be something like an impala or a bushbuck. Oh no, there, they flew off. Maybe they've got a nest on this dead tree. Often they nest in the bark where the bark starts peeling away from the tree itself. I don't see anything. Just saw the one flying off. There's a little squirrel. Let's see. Yep. It's run off. Right. I wonder what we're going to find this afternoon. Hopefully we'll find a little bit of game. We're going to get going, cut through a big open clearing. Maybe you'll see something interesting there, and then work it from there. Folks, I'm going to put some distance on. I'm going to see if we can cover some ground, see if we find something. We're going to head over to Taylor for an update.
Hello again, and I apologize for earlier, but what you can see flapping its wings quite vigorously and off it goes into a distance, well, that was a very, very quick look at a pair of African grey hornbills, even though we only just saw the one. Now, our plan this afternoon is actually to head along towards Arathusa, and I'd love to have a look and see if those lions have perhaps come across yet. We haven't had any word, so I put my radio on the right channel, and well, we're going to listen up, and hopefully we get an update of some sort. Far too long. Hello, boys. But, well, not the Nkuhumas, but two beautiful impala rams. And of course, when one starts trotting off, normally the other follows. And he looked like he wanted to, but instead he's just going to walk gracefully across the road so that you can all have a wonderful look at him. And I reckon if you had to dig out a couple of photos from about a month ago and compare them with what the impala, especially the boys, and what they're looking like now, I think you'd be amazed to see how much condition they've put on since the sort of end of the dry season. Isn't that just amazing how quickly these animals will put on weight? They don't lose it very easily. It does take quite some time for them to sort of they'll start to show their hips and their ribs. So you can get another look at these beautiful boys. Hello, gentlemen. Don't run away from us, please. Just look at you. I'm going to go stealth mode over to them. We'll just pretend that we're not looking at them. We'll put blinkers on, and then hopefully, well, they won't run away. Hello, boys. and very gracefully and delicately just moving around a shrub, but they're coming out on the other side. And it's actually a perfect day. I know I said it was hot and there wasn't really much of a breeze, but thank goodness for the cloud cover, because it is perfect temperature. We may even get lucky enough and find some animals heading around to the watering holes. We did see a herd of impala earlier. They just come back down to drink, and then they moved off again. So maybe we're going to see a lot more of that this afternoon. Now, if you have just tuned in, remember we are on a live safari, and well, we'd all love to interact with you. You have got, it doesn't matter what the question is, ask away. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can send us an email, questions@WildEarth.TV. Well, we're making our way towards Arathusa now and check the western boundary, and let's go back across to Brent and see what he's made of those drag marks he had earlier.
Welcome to a balmy day here in the African bushveld. My name is Brent Smith. I have my good friend Brian Joubert on camera. Now, Brian has put up a challenge. I do not want what to say about a fat starfish. Apart from it, it's very lost. It should be in Mozambique on one of the islands sitting on a rock, but alas, the poor starfish is out in the sun. I think it's going to be a fat and very dry starfish by the end of this safari. And of course, Brian and myself together are known as the killer bees. So let's see what killer sightings we can find today. So those of you who are watching the pre-show, I went off walking after a drag mark that was made by a leopard dragging some poor unfortunate animal. That poor unfortunate animal was killed by the leopard. It was dragged off. Then the poor unfortunate leopard lost said poor unfortunate animal to a troop of baboons. From what I can see, there was a bit of hair and a bit of a hoof, so I think it was a baby impala, and it looks like the baboons stole it. I've got a message from Herbie. Just listening to the Game Drive radio. So of course Tingana was around this morning. He did do a disappearing act, but Herbie and FW are in the area. So it's amazing how our plans change, because we were going to go down to Cheetah Plains, but now we're looking for leopards, because we've had this drag mark. And I know Tingana's around, but I'm really hoping to find Karula, see what's happening with Hosana and Shongile. Okay, let's check quickly for tracks here in the soft sand of the Moati River. Okay, let's have a look. It's going to be on the radio for a second. Rex. Now, this is always a good spot to look for leopards. There's nice deep shade. Rex or Herbie? Okay, while we check this riverbed, let's go see what Madam Taylor's up to. Herb, what was that?
Madam Taylor is still very slowly making her way towards Arathusa. I don't know why I'm speaking in third person now. Oh my goodness, VM, have a look at this. Look what I've just spotted. Look at all the mud. So we've just popped under a marula tree, and I'm sure you saw that I was looking up above me, because we've got this massive aerial that sticks out at the back, and I was worried that I was going to whack it on this big branch. Now, how incredible is this? This is all mud, and it can only be from one animal, and that, of course, is the largest African land mammal, and that is the elephant. Well, I suppose the largest land mammal in the world. Now, they've obviously had a nice wallow. Maybe they went to Twin Dams and had a bath. It doesn't look too fresh. Let me see if I can try and see how fresh it is. I'm going to have to jump out though. Yeah, how am I going to do this? I'm going to climb. Right. I'm going to climb on Wendy. Wendy, this is going to be interesting. Right, we'll stand here, then we'll go on the door, and we'll try not to fall off. Right, we won't fall off. Oh no, it's very, very, very old. I think I'm going to gracefully jump down. That is high. I mean, if you look at where I am compared to how high up that is incredible, don't you think? I think that, I mean, I can't even... I'm never going to touch it. Got to be like Michael Jordan, but fortunately, I can't really jump like him. Now, that of course is after the elephant has gone for a lovely wallow in the mud, come across this tree, and well, it perhaps had a scratch, but it seems as though it only scratched its back and its shoulder, because that is the only part of the body that would reach. That is massive. That's so high. Right. Now, enough of me being silly. Let me make sure I don't whack the antenna on the... Just made it. Right. We've still got a wee bit of a way to go to get to Arathusa, and I decided to also drive on one of the fire breaks, and these fire breaks are wonderful because they're a little bit on the overgrown side, so when you've got guests, it's not the best thing to do is drive on the most overgrown roads. Otherwise you just get people with branches in their faces all the time, and that's no fun for anyone. So I like them. VM and I don't mind the bushes too much. And, well, the road less travelled, obviously... Ooh. So, the reason why I like to travel on these roads is because no one's really driven on them, so they leave lots and lots of footprints. Now, a sighting that we had yesterday, and I'm so ecstatic for Evia that he managed to see Mr. Mfumo, my favourite Birmingham, one of my favourite. I like Nana as well, he's quite nice. And he managed to see that little tiny chameleon, and I'm sure all of you still remember it and it's fresh in your minds. And that tiny little chameleon was climbing up on Mfumo's mane. And Donna, oh, it's a baby warthog piglet! It's my first one! It's my first baby warthog piglet. That's so cute. Hello? Where are the rest of your babies? I'm so sorry, Donna. I'll get back to your question, but this is just too gorgeous. And you can see how Mom has put herself between us and her little one, making sure it doesn't get left behind. But don't worry, Mama Warthog. I can promise you I'm not interested in this tiny little tot of yours. I just want to have a look at your beautiful little piglet. That is so small. It's probably about a week old or so. It's not teeny tiny. And they grow so quickly. Look at Mom egging it on. Off you go. What did Brent call them the other day? Sausages. It was sausages, hey, VM? I think VM described the little warthogs as sausages and leopard snacks as well. I really hope they don't become leopard snacks. I love a baby warthog. They're so cute. And I was feeling really, really left out because I was the only one that hadn't seen any piglets yet. But woohoo! We're going to see if we can get another view. So sorry, Donna. You were wondering if anybody stayed out and perhaps followed up on where Mfumo went. So unfortunately, it looked like he crossed into Biffle's hook by the sign of his footprints. It's okay, little one. Come back. We just want to look at you. You're getting left behind. Don't get left behind. Now, I really hope we have a nice, positive interaction with this little piggy. I'm going to try to get up ahead of Mom so that we can have her sort of walking. Oh no, she's going to duck. No, she's running away. There we go, one last look. So yeah, sorry Donna, unfortunately Mr. Mfumo disappeared, but the next time that we see him, I'm going to have a good hard look and see if we can't find that chameleon. And I think it was very clever on that chameleon, though I don't think it intentionally climbed onto the line. I think Mfumo probably brushed through a couple of bushes And, well, that tiny little chameleon, not being big and strong yet, obviously lost its grip and ended up on its mane. But we're going to keep heading towards Arathusa, and I'm so excited we got to see the little pig. I can go home now. I don't know about you. That was fantastic. But let's see how Mr. Leo Smith is doing and his investigating in a riverbed is going.
With a wonderful big herd of impala, and I'm just trying to look, there was a female who had a massive scar. And I think I actually saw her when that scar was fresh, and it looked like she escaped from a lion, and we weren't sure whether she was going to make it, and it's healed incredibly well. She's now disappeared into the anonymity that becomes an impala herd. Where's she gone, Brian? It was on her right side, right back leg. Quite a stiff walk. Hey, little ones, what are you up to? They are very sweet, the little impalas. All legs. Remember, this is 100% live from the African bush, and if you want to ask any questions, you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or pop us an email to questions@WildEarthTV. Now, before Taylor disappears to Arathusa, I have got some news for her. Taylor, do you copy? We're going to keep looking for the leopards. Taylor's plan is to look for the lions, and I did get a good update, and hopefully they haven't moved too far, because it sounds like we might be able to get there. I just need to get hold of her. Taylor, do you copy? More impalas. Well, maybe Final Control can ask her to call me on the radio while we keep moving. Okay, so we're going to go look for Tingana, the big male leopard. And of course, it's not only about the big cats. We'll stop for anything that fascinates us along the way. Taylor, I just got an update from Shanae. Nkuhuma's at Shigodi Pan, Arathusa Sibambili cut line, on the southern side of the road, so in Arathusa. No problem. So there we go, good news. Taylor should be on her way there shortly, while we scour Djuma for the other big cats. Now, Herbie, F and Effie are also in that area where we're going to check. Of course, being in a vehicle, if we hear alarm calls, we're able to be a bit quicker into an area, which sometimes helps when you're after the big cats. Now, talking about Effie, Brian, did you watch that this morning?
I didn't.
You didn't? You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't.
It is quite spectacular. F doing the buffalo wallow. I was quite impressed. I'm suitably impressed, should I say. Now, if I was going to do such a wallow, I definitely wouldn't do it as far from camp as F did. I would choose a closer wallow. But hats off to the man. That took quite a bit of courage. And she said that mud doesn't smell the best. Speaking of the man who loves his mud, let's go see how F is doing on foot.
Welcome back. We are with a buffalo thorn. First of all, it adds on to our gourmet of this morning. See the leaves here? we can eat them. You can eat them as a salad, just like this. Or if you had to, you can cook it and eat it like a spinach. This is quite an important tree to the local people. All over the Lowveld area, there's a lot of uses for it. One thing to look at is the growth pattern. I don't know if you can see, it's got a bit of a zigzag growth pattern to it. And that shows us that life will not be one easy straight line. Next thing to look at is the thorns. There's a straight thorn and a hook thorn. The straight thorn tells you to look out to the future, and the hook thorn tells you to forget about the past. Herbert told me a very interesting story about this hook thorn and the straight thorn as well, that it's used for. If someone finishes school, they get, for example, going to a college or varsity next year, they get given a bag, a luggage bag, and they put a branch of this tree in it. And the thorns tell them, the straight thorn tells them to go out and explore life, go explore what's out there. And the hook thorn tells them to never forget where they come from and to come back and maybe bring the skills that they've learned somewhere else back into their own communities. Something very interesting. The Zulu people also believe that you can hide under a bigger tree than this one we're at now. If there's a lightning storm and there's a lot of thunder and lightning around, it might protect you. I don't know, I haven't tried it yet, and I'm not brave enough to try it either. Now I've lost. Okay, let me just quickly gather my thoughts, sorry. Where does the buffalo thorn get its name from? It comes from the buffalo. The buffalo use these trees to protect themselves. They reverse into them with their hind quarters and keep their head out to fight, let's say, lions hunting them, or even hunters hunting them. Go and hide in one of these and kind of set up an ambush and protect their sides, their flanks and the back, not to be vulnerable to the predators trying to catch them. Yeah, so just a little bit more on folklore and a bit of survival. We're going to head over to Taylor for an update. Enjoy.
We are looking at the very popular woodland kingfisher who has arrived to spend our summer with us. Let's see if it calls once more. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's another kingfisher calling in the far distance. And I suspect that this one is responding to its call, so we're going to just sit quietly just for a moment to see if this chap responds. Come on, shout, proclaim your territory. It actually sounds like there's a third kingfisher that's joined in on the territorial calling. And there were two here. Where was this one? And then there was another one, which was perhaps the female. And the kingfisher, we see them using these marula trees actually quite often for nesting. I think there's one on the big open plain just near the DRC, where I think Herbert said there's a pair that are nesting in an old hollowed out marula tree. But you can see this bird is listening very, very carefully. The way it moves its head. Come on, give us one more display, because it is so beautiful when they tilt their head to the sky, open their wings, and give off that sort of beautiful call that they have. Probably one of the more difficult calls to actually try and imitate. Maybe we should have a challenge this afternoon. VM, are you any good at making a call? VM says he's not a chance. He's not any good at all. Let me see if I can try. No, not very good at all. That was probably my worst attempt at any bird call I've ever done. How do you get this right? And I bet you're all sitting at home as well trying to get the kingfisher call. And well, if you've got any family, I'm sure they think you're as crazy as I am. But luckily there's no one else around, and VM knows me by now, so he doesn't really get bothered by it too much at all. Right, let's try this again. How do you do this call? Chip. No, that doesn't sound anything like a kingfisher at all. But maybe Brent and Evia can do a better attempt, so it'll be interesting to see how theirs go. But I'm a bit nervous because Brent is driving with Brian this afternoon, and we know how musical Brian is, and he's pretty good at doing the various calls. So I think we better say now that Brian is not allowed to help Brent. Brent is going to do it all on his own, just in case he was getting any ideas. Hello, beautiful. You are posing so perfectly. Look at all that turquoise that you can see just on the outside feathers. Oh, they are such beautiful birds. And I know you must be... Well, I don't think you can really get sick of birds, can you? Especially when they pose like this. And I really wish we'd had a woodland kingfisher sitting so still for us like this morning. Our one didn't really hang around for too long. Quite curious, looking around. And I can still see its mate on the tree, but it is sitting a little bit up behind leaves. So that's nice that the two of them have decided to sit here. Maybe they are nesting in this tree. And that's why they haven't really felt the need to dart off and away from us. And one of my favorite things to try and explain to guests when I was guiding is that you look at these beautiful birds. So Louise just played basically she asked me what do I think of her imitation of the woodland kingfisher, and all she did was play the sound. That's very naughty. You're not allowed to do that, Louise. But as I was saying, one of my favorite things to show guests when they're coming on safari is looking at these kingfishers, because you get kingfishers all over the world, different types. Some of them are more colorful than others. And well, the normal kingfisher that we usually see is the brown-hooded. And now that's not really in any term spectacular when it comes to the coloration that some of the kingfishers have, like the half-collared. Oh, look. Or the malachite do, or even the pygmy kingfisher. Where have you gone? Just trying to find it again. I think, was it not lower down, Liam? Oh, there it is, hiding away. There we go. Now we've got its bum. Give us another display so we can see your feathers nicely. And my guests were always so surprised as to when, for instance, if it was this time of the year, I could show them a woodland kingfisher, or if it was a brown-hooded kingfisher, and I'd say, look at their magnificent beaks, almost like a spear coming off of their face. And of course they would say, well, they must eat fish. And I was like, funny you say that. And it's just amazing how some of the species of kingfishers, like, of course, the woodland and then our other resident, the brown-hooded, predominantly feed on insects. So I'm sure that they must be very happy at the moment, especially this woodland kingfisher. Perhaps, well, I know they love Zambia, but they leave Zambia and they come down here during the summer in Zambia. It just gets so hot, and I suppose they're all over the more northern African countries. But I think down here at this time of the year, it's really beautiful. And all the insects have come about. I can only really speak about Zambia. The rain hasn't come yet. Oh, it sounds like there's a vehicle coming up the road. I'm going to have to pull off. Let me see if I'm hearing correctly. I could be making it up, though. Okay, no, I thought there was a vehicle coming towards us. It's on another road. Now, we've spoken about their beautiful beaks, the lovely colors that they have over their bodies, all the lovely blues and the black on their wings. Now, Sarah, you were wondering about their eyes, and you were particularly wondering if a bird's eye is wet like ours, or is it dry? Now, I'd imagine their eyes would have to be moist. They also blink. So I've never really touched a bird's eye, or I've had, so I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that an educated guess would be that their eyes would have to stay moist. Even something like some of the geckos that don't blink, they constantly lick their eyes to keep them nice and moist and remove, of course, the bits of debris and things. So I think an eye needs to stay nice and moist. It's just posing beautifully in that lovely dappled light. Oh, well, you can see the wind has come up. As this kingfisher looks like it's almost going to get blown over. It's going to go tail over its head and do a somersault down into the ground. And I know this morning you got to watch a woodland kingfisher catching a dung beetle. That must have been quite hysterical to see. Like I said, dung beetles not the most elegant flyers. So I'm sure it wasn't really a challenge for this very graceful kingfisher. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to send you off to have a bird's eye view of the reserve. And well, I think Brent is going to have a little go at telling you about the area. Oh, I'm narrating. Oh, that's so funny. Sorry, I missed the beginning part that Louise was talking about. So apparently I'm narrating over the drone. And apparently it's buzzing around in the sky, doing its thing, looking at all the wonderful vegetation that has all come through. I'm sure the animal pathways are going to start to disappear. And if you look very, very carefully, you may see something moving down on the ground. Well, you may see three things moving. And if you're wondering what that is David, Evia, and of course the mighty protector, Herbert, walking and scouting the open plains, looking for all sorts of things to show you. That must be such a fantastic view, and I think I absolutely love the drone. Now, what we're going to do is, seen as though you've just had a look at Evia from above, let's go back down and get an eye view.
Folks, we have found a spider hunting wasp sitting on a fallen over tree pushed over by elephants. It is probably looking for a spider that might be in this tree somewhere. It looks like there's quite a bit of wood borer damage on the tree. It might have got, then there might be spiders in some of those cavities. This is quite an interesting one. It's got a bit of a different color. Normally I haven't seen these guys too much. The ones you normally see are all dark in color. This guy looks like he's got orange legs. Quite an interesting facial pattern on the back of his body as well. It's quite nice. We've got something with survival as well. There's a tiny corkwood over here that you can get moisture and energy from the roots. You can eat the roots for water and for energy, get a bit of nutrients going. One thing I find amazing with these little corkwoods, their little fruits and seed, the seed is covered in a little red fleshy material. It looks like a little hand that's cupped the seed and holding the seed. It's amazing. I haven't seen any bigger ones with seeds on them that I could show you, but yeah, just amazing. Just imagine this little dark black seed with bright red little fingers holding this thing in the fruit capsule. It is amazing. There's a knobthorn over here. I see that spider hunting wasp. It's gone over to this knobthorn. Knobthorn, unfortunately, is a tree that got hammered quite hard this year with the drought. Elephants were debarking knobthorns for food often, and actually a lot more than they would normally, which is quite sad because some of these knobthorns are fairly old and have been around the block and in this area for many years. So it's sad to see those big trees being killed and debarked. But it's all part of the cycle. It's needed, I suppose, sometimes. Everything that happens out here. Of the knobthorn, if they get harder with age and if they're softer when they're young, well, we are lucky. I just walked past a younger knobthorn, so let's get one of those thorns and compare it to an older plant. This is on a brand new shoot. These thorns are very soft. A little bit further along the same branch where this new shoot was, the thorns are already hardened up, so they do harden up quite quickly. And then let's go to the bigger plant, the one that's been pushed over. We'll have a look at this one and see how strong these thorns have become already. Let me just change my hands. You can see, I don't know, see the difference in at how hard it is, and also the color. It's gone from a reddish color to a pale grey color and extremely hard. So yeah, this is all part of protecting the tree against overgrazing or over browsing from animals such as giraffe, such as kudu, that are the more common browsers in the area. Where the name knobthorn, if we come around this side, there's some nice examples of a knob. I'm not going to get in there, but there are a couple of nice knobs in this area. You can see that has also got a thorn on it that protects it. It protects it more from animals rubbing themselves on it like I was doing this morning. What else is in this area I can show you guys? Let's carry on a little bit more, see what else is willing to show itself. Folks, while I keep looking for something to show you, we're going to head over to Taylor and Arathusa.
Now, I've been listening very carefully to the radio, and the reason why I've got it clutched to my hand is because I got word that apparently, I don't know how many Nkuhumas, but there were some Nkuhumas, and at a place called Shigodi Pan. Now, if you're not sure where that is on Arathusa, you'll probably remember Brian and I found Shadow there the other afternoon when we followed her and she climbed up that tall marula tree. So it's sort of in that vicinity, quite close to the Simbambili boundary. Now, there were some Arathusa guides going to inspect and see if they were still there or if they'd moved and what the story is. So I'm waiting for an update from them, and hopefully they'll let us know shortly, So what we came to do, and I'm sure, well, it needs no introduction, is that we're at the Arathusa airstrip currently, just having a little look around. Occasionally there's some nice birds and big herds of impala in this open area, and well, I was also just taking a chance to perhaps see if any cheetah or anything had come through here. Now, I remember when I was working down south on our airstrip, the cheetah used to love it, and we'd often find them sitting there stalking some impala or something along those lines, or any antelope really. We're just going to go past 2 little aeroplanes, and then we'll probably start making our way a little bit further west. Maybe we'll even quickly go to Red Dam and have a little squiz there and see if there's anything happening this afternoon. Like we said, it's nice and warm, and well, I'm thirsty, so I'm sure the animals must be getting a little bit thirsty as well. Hi aeroplanes, bye aeroplanes. Now, it's one thing that I don't miss about traveling in Zambia, especially to the national parks, is that, well, most of the airstrips are gravel and aren't even tarred, so you've got to go in on these very small propellered aeroplanes, and they're not fun because I get horrendous motion sickness. I couldn't even go on a swing as a child. I mean, how's that? I had a terrible childhood because I couldn't swing. I was the one that pushed all my friends, and I think that's why my friends kept me around. VM, would you keep me around if I couldn't have a chance in the swing but I could push you guys? I'd be actually quite valuable friend, but anyway, I think that's the only reason they used to keep me around. And well, those planes bounce around quite a bit, and I always used to get airsick. It was really, really horrible. So I'm glad I don't have to go on too many more of those small aeroplanes. Right, let's see what we've got around the next corner. Very quiet today, not too much out, which is surprising considering it is such a nice day. Maybe we get lucky. Just scanning. Right, it seems as though the animals are evading us just for the moment, so we're going to keep edging on closer. I think we'll go straight to Red Dam, and well, hopefully you'll see us there the next time. But I think Mr. Leo Smith is back on the vehicle. Let's see what he's got to say.
Now, at this time of the year, sometimes the ground is so hard, it's time to go with a bit of gut instinct. So I'm thinking, they found Tingana after drive. It was hot. Say the tracks were heading east, and if I was a male leopard and it's hot, where do I want to be chilling? I want to be chilling in a riverbed. So this is the riverbed in front of Vertella camp.
We've come to a junction and I don't know where to go. That one says Arathusa deliveries. We don't really look like a delivery vehicle, and I don't have any food to drop off for them, so I think we'll just continue going down this road. I wonder what's happening at the dam. Maybe we'll have a quick look at the big Arathusa dam and see if anybody's come down to drink, but we're going to have to go all the way around that side. Let's just make sure that I'm doing the right thing here. Thank goodness for GPS these days. Otherwise, I think Brent, Jamie and James would have to have come rescued me probably about 1,000 times by now, and I'd probably be back down in the southern sectors of the Sabi Sands. Right, let's see. I think we can go here. Can we go here, VM? Is this the wrong way? Is the right? VM says this is the right way. I trust VM. Now I can hear some chattering on the radio, but I can't quite hear what they're saying just yet, so we'll get an update when we get to a bit more higher ground. Okay, we're getting closer. Bump. We're going over the dam wall. I've never done this before. Oh my goodness, I feel so naughty going over a damn wall. I don't know why. Let's go and check. We'll be naughty. I don't think I'm being naughty. I'm allowed to do this, obviously. But, you know, I'm such a goody two-shoes sometimes. My dad always calls me that. He always says I'm a goody two-shoes. Well, we'll stop here and we'll have a very quick look. There is absolutely nothing. As you can see, it is dry. And there's just lots and lots of footprints, most likely from a variety of different animals coming down, but not a drop of water. Okay. Right. Well, let's go across. I don't know why I feel like I'm such a rebel by doing this. It's really giving me an adrenaline rush. Louise says she thinks I need to get out more. That's probably true. I also do live on a game reserve. Right, it's very, very cool. Not even an impala in sight. That's crazy. What's going on over here? So we're going to try and find us some higher ground. And I think if we do head towards Red Dam, like we said, we'll get... Ooh. Now, we'll probably get good signal when we get towards Red Dam. Now, we've moved off of the airstrip and we had a good look around, but we couldn't really see anything. There were some impala that were so far in the distance and in the thicket that we couldn't even really see them properly. Now, James, you were wondering and hoping and well, keeping your fingers crossed too, that we would see some jackal on the airstrip, but unfortunately it didn't look like they were out. Maybe this evening. We'll see how long we stay on Arathusa for, and maybe we can always go back past there to have a look. Oh, I see some life, but it's got feathers again. It looks like it may be another birding day. Where did you go? There you are, sitting all the way in the distance on a log. Hello, birdie. Should we play an easy game? I think so. We're going to play a little game now, of course. We're going to play Guess the Bird. So, if you can tell me what bird you are looking, or what you are currently looking at, you are welcome to hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with your answers, or you can send them through to questions@WildEarth.tv if you don't have Twitter, and we'll see who gets it right first. It's a very common bird. We see it all over, and we see quite a few different species of this particular bird too, which is quite nice. But it might be a challenge if you've just started watching us, and it's always good to start birdless. If you've maybe just tuned in, well, right now, I'm sorry, because we had such a fun birding day this morning. Brent got 43 birds in one drive. That's magnificent. And I think we ended up on about 30. But there were a couple that we did see, but unfortunately they flew away before we could actually show you. And that's what makes the challenge so much more fun, I suppose. I did see some movement up ahead. I think it was some impala. Let's see if we can get them. But they're also hiding away now. Let's find a little gap. This is always the tricky part, is trying to find a gap to show you some animal. There's a tiny little impala, of course, you can see moving around there. Now, Debbie from Vancouver, you referred to the Arathusa Dam as the Arathusa Dust Bowl. I love that. That is fantastic. And you were wondering, why doesn't this water sort of collect water? And it seems to drain, obviously, very well. Whereas other dams seem to save that water and keep it there for a lot longer. Now, Debbie, it can only be that maybe it's a different type of soil that's in there. It does look like there's quite a bit of clay, and clay will... Sorry, let's carry on. These impala are disappearing. There's some more up ahead though. And clay drains very well. It doesn't really hold water so well. So possibly that's the reason why. Because I don't think I've actually ever seen any water in. The only time I really saw anything, I've only really ever seen it quite muddy and or liquid mud, I suppose. But other than that, I don't know. It's not very nice, and it's beautiful. It's deep, and we've had lots of rain. Oh, hello, little impala, testing your legs. Oh my goodness, a waterbuck. I almost forgot what a waterbuck looked like, but it's running away from us. You can see it darting off into the distance, the big white circle around its rump. I feel as though we haven't seen them in ages, and it's a very camouflage looking waterbuck at the moment. And there's the impala. Now there is a little lamb you can see just between the two ewes. Oh, there's actually two little impala. And it's always nice to see when they do go darting off, Mom sort of does a casual trot. And now that these little ones are probably just over a week old, maybe even a little more than that, some of them, they're feeling quite comfortable on their legs now. So as soon as they get the opportunity to pop it into third gear, off they go, and you'll see they start to bound around and practice those big jumps and leaps that the adults will do when they see a predator or when they're just trying to get away from something. Now we've got a couple of answers that have come through for my bird quiz. So Jack Mauricia, you have said that it was a Burchell starling. You were both correct, so well done. That was an easy one, but a good one. And like I said, you saw this morning, I was a bit rusty with my birds. And, I did go through my bird book today and go through of the most easiest thing. And what we're going to do, we're going to head across to, and I think he's going to be chatting to you from the sky.
Impala alarm calling. I just need to get hold of Rex. He's been helping look in this area. Okay, we need to get into the block. Now, this could be Tingana. Now you can see you're up in the air with Connor flying, but I can hear an impala alarm calling not far from us in the thickets. Which way is it looking? I can just make it out. You see it, Brian? Straight ahead of us. Where is it looking? Okay, it must be Mr. Tingana, I'm hoping, around here. Okay, now you've jumped out of the air and you're with us. The impala alarm calling slightly to the west of us, and that apparently is the last direction that Mr. Tingana was moving in. Okay, hold on, guys. There the impala. There was only an alarm calling. Afternoon, Zay. Are you looking for an update? Sorry, guys. Zay, just general game at the moment. Rex and I are following up on a male leopard that was seen this morning. We haven't managed to relocate yet, but in the area around Gallagher, Vuatila camp. Okay. So if the impalas move this way, whatever they were alarm calling at is this side. Now impalas sometimes get a little confused and snort at a smell. Now, of course, as beautiful as the emerald green of the summer is, it does sometimes make finding animals a little bit harder. There's more places to hide.
Can anyone help me with identification on this skull? I think it's a fairly large animal, one of the bigger herbivores that we get in this area. But let's see if anyone can recognize it. There's a very distinctive identifying feature that we can look for. But yeah, let's give it a minute and see if anyone gets it. Well, I'm going to turn it around for the moment. Just want to show you where the brain cavity sits and just how small it actually is compared to the size of this animal. Amazing linkage, how the bones link and fuse together around the eye socket. I think this was a relatively old animal. If I look at the teeth, at the molars, you can see they're worn down quite a bit. Shame. This guy actually had pieces of grass stuck in his teeth. Didn't have the magic guari, or didn't use the magic guari to clean his teeth properly. Another thing to look at, if you look into this area here, see how the skull is not solid, the bone isn't solid. Here's a nice example as well. We can zoom into that. It's almost like a honeycomb. It just lightens the load that the animal has to carry with the skull, and also helps with absorption of pressure when they're fighting. Would you agree if I said this is an old buffalo bull? If you look at this calluses here, this is the boss, where the horns used to be, helping protect. Diane, Betty and Lynn, I'm glad that you guys agree with me in saying this is a buffalo. Well done. Awesome. There's an interesting plant around this area as well. Let's keep going with this skull. Quite big leaves. It's got a very interesting smell. The way I remember it, to me it smells like vitamins. A multivitamin tablet box that you open up. This is called an ivy grape. And I was told by some of the local trackers and people that I've worked with before, you can use this to clean your blood. So with the roots, you boil it up, you drink that mixture and you clean your blood with it. Pretty interesting, quite sticky. Going back to the skull, we had some, this guy's broken up quite a bit and been spread around by a hyena, so there's not much. I think there's 4 or 5 bones in the area that we are now. Unfortunately, there's no horn borer moths to show you on the horn. Normally they'll be on the black parts of the horn that covers the bone, the keratin sheath, and their larvae eat into this keratin sheath. They eat the keratin and they make these little things sticking out of the horn then. That's their frass sacs. So frass is the term for insect dung. And that little dung is kind of woven with silk, I suppose, as well. And that protects the little larvae inside the horn. Fairly interesting. If we find a skull that has them on them, we'll get to show it to you. So let's move on. Let's see if we can find one. Let's keep going. Leave this guy where he was and head on out. Debbie, you are asking for a plant that uses chemistry to protect itself. There's one. Let's go over there and then I'll tell you more about that. It's a silver cluster leaf. In the beginning of the show we had a silver cluster leaf, and the one thing that it shows it shows us water. We're also close to a drainage line again, but this guy is very high in tannins. The silver cluster leaf is so high in tannins it dries out your mouth when you chew it. So some people use it as a local anesthetic because of that reason, and also treating maybe wounds or toothache. You chew a leaf. I've tricked a couple of people into eating them, telling them that it's bush chewing gum. Everyone's quite intrigued by the whole bush chewing gum experience and then end up with a very dry mouth. I would show it to you, but I might stop talking then, and I don't think we want that. Another couple of interesting things around. There's these little bulb-like looking things on the plant. That's from a gall wasp that stung the plant, and it's grown a little bulb inside, or a little ball with, and they lay their eggs in there. Some of the bigger ones that they make different. There's a couple of different ones. You've got this little round one that we're looking at now. Then we've got another one that almost looks more like a hornet's nest than really anything where something would have good protection, but I suppose they do have. And then there's one that's very long. I don't see one on this tree. That one we could use if we had to make a whistle. You cut it open and you put your fingers over the thing like this, blow into it, and you get a bit of a louder noise whistle coming out. So if you had to get someone's attention without making a big fire out here, if you were lost or anything, you would be able to get their attention like that if people were really looking for you and you can't have a proper whistle, or you don't have a proper whistle on you. That's one tree that uses chemicals. There's another one called a tambuti that's very poisonous. They say 3 drops of that milky latex can kill a man. I don't see any in this area. Maybe we should just head back into this drainage line. They're often associated with drainage lines. Let's go have a look, see if we can find a leaf and show you that milky latex. And in Indiana, you're asking about the rainy season. We're in the rainy season at the moment. The next one will only start next year again. So this will keep going for a while. Maybe up to March, April we'll get rain. And then we'll have the dry winter months. So May, June, July, August we'll have dry winter months. And then hopefully we'll have a very good rainy season in the next season, which should start. There should be first drops of rain around September, start of October, and then through our entire summer. I found a tambuti. Now I must just get to leaf. Oh, yeah. There's a tiny bit of this milky latex coming out. This is quite toxic. They also use this toxin to eliminate a bit of competition. It's called antibiosis, where they push toxins into the soil, and that helps to eliminate other competition from other plants. Often grass species don't grow around these trees, especially if you find big thickets, clumps of them together. That is also a great place for leopard and lion to go lie in during the day. Nice and cool. They grow quite thick and there's a lot of shade, and there's no grass. So if it's a rainy day, there's no wet grass that they're gonna lie in. Predators don't like water, especially your big cats. I've seen videos of wild dogs being chased by lions, and the dogs run over a little stream and lions come to a halt. They don't move, and they tiptoe over the smallest part of the stream to maybe catch up to the wild dogs, which they wouldn't, because the wild dogs just keep going. So yeah, water they don't like, and would have been an ideal place for them to have rested for the day. Let's see if we can find anything else around this area. There. I didn't. No problem. Let's see. Let's keep looking for one of those bulbs that I was talking about to make the whistle with. There's one. Tina in Texas, you want to know if I've ever followed a honey guide? Personally, I haven't, but I've heard stories of guys that have, and yeah, they have been successful in finding the honey. You know that to keep the relationship going and to keep it going on the right track, you have to give a little bit of the honeycomb and leave that for the honey guide. But yeah, no, personally I haven't have had the privilege of following one. Let me quickly cut this open. I think this might be a little bit small, but it'll be able to show us the idea of what we want to do. You can see there's silk in here from the larvae. Oh, there's a spider in here. So, oh no, it's an ant. No, it's a spider. What is this? I have no idea. It should be a spider. Look at this silk. I don't know. I can't see what this is. I actually don't know. Let's leave it running on my body for a bit. It does look like an ant. I agree with that. But it's jumping around with silk, and it's using a silk strand to move away from us. So unless there's an ant that has a silk gland, I don't know. You can see all the silk that's in here as well. So this thing's a little bit broken up, but basically this is what you would do for a whistle. Then you'd hope for a bigger one, put your fingers in like this, and then blow into it, get a whistle. I don't think we're going to get anything out of this, but let's give it a shot. No, a little bit small, but we tried. It's amazing though. Let me just want to show you something inside, if we can get in here, how the plant protects itself and regrows and gives this thing more structure. I don't know if we're going to see it, but see how thick this is. It's almost like the cambion layer thickens around this area, around the bulb, and gives this more structure. We're going to head over to Taylor with one of our larger predators in this area.
I feel as though it has been ages since we last saw all the girls together with all their little cubs. Well, I suppose you can't say little anymore, as the Nkuhumas, the cubs, have almost tripled in size. But like I said, I'm happy to report that all 5 lionesses are here, and of course all 6 cubs are. And the one on the far left you can see fast asleep. That is my favorite little lioness in the whole world. But she seems to be hot, panting away, enjoying an afternoon siesta, as of course the cats do. Now, you can still see she's still got a bit of mange on her. It hasn't cleared entirely, especially around her elbows. You can see she's very patchy. You can see the hair doesn't look too healthy. And then also if you go up towards her ears, you can see, look at that she has got mange. But I think that these lions are such fighters that they should be all right. The others are looking okay. A little bit scruffy. And of course, the skin showing on the back of their legs. You see, there you go. That's actually really nice. You can see how the mite has eaten away at the hair follicles and then left, of course, no hair at all. And it creates that patchy sort of skin, but it doesn't look horrendous. I mean, they don't look anywhere near like the Styx cubs did. So I think that they should be okay. And you can notice the big fat belly, of course, on this lion cub, and that's because they did catch a buffalo. And that's in the distance, underneath a tree, well, they were trying to make an attempt at hiding it from the vultures, but I did spot a couple of vultures that were sitting in the tree, but they unfortunately flew away when we arrived. You can see one of the cubs still suckling. And we're going to get to the point, though, where they're going to finish up, because the older set of cubs are about 7 months old now. And then, of course, the middle group, 6 months, and little floppy ear, who is only 5 months old. Now, Mike, you were saying that you didn't think you'd see all 6 cubs still here just a month ago, and I have to agree with you. It got very, very scary, especially just before I went on leave when we had the bouts of white mussel disease come through. But I honestly think that that's the end of the white mussel disease. It was only because there was very poor nutrients in the grass, and the buffalo weren't able to get enough vitamin E into their bodies, and vitamin A and all sorts of other goodies. And of course then that, well, unfortunately was a negative impact, of course, on these lions. But now you can see all the lovely green grass that has come through with the rain that we've had. And like I said in the beginning of the show, these animals recover very, very quickly. And we did see some buffalo the same afternoon when we had shadow. And you could see even them, barring one buffalo, how they'd improved, how they'd fattened up again. And that can only mean good for our favorite pride, the Nkuhumas. I still can't believe that they're suckling, though, especially these older cubs. They're very cheeky. And I hope they stay cheeky. They need to stay the cheekiest cubs in the Sabi sand. But I'm sure you must be so happy that you're having a look at all of them. Now, you're probably only thinking that you can only count 4 lionesses. It's because there's one lioness she's lying off into the distance. She's the clever one. She's lying in the shade. You can sort of just see her there, very well camouflaged. But they are indeed all here. Now, Jen B, you just said I should have a look at the end of Floppy Ear's tail. I shouldn't be laughing, but that is so funny. And you're quite right. Look at it. She's lost all the hair to the tip of her tail. That's actually quite amazing to see. Normally we never see the tip of the tail like that. It's always covered in hair. Don't you think it looks like the plant baboon's tail? Now, Tina, you're wondering if the hair is going to grow back on the end of that tail. I think once she recovers, if she does recover, but you know me, I'm very optimistic about my favorite little girl. So I reckon when she does recover, I think it will grow back, but it might take some time. Even with the others that have got the damage around sort of the elbows and things, I think it will take a couple of months for that hair to grow back, maybe even a little bit longer. But they should beat it. I mean, the adults are looking very, very healthy, full bellies. They're looking absolutely lovely. And I'm really excited to have a look and see our youngest lioness. I wonder if this is her. Vian, do you think this is her? She's got a very pink nose, so it could be the youngest lioness of the pride. Maybe it is. We'll have to wait until one of them decides to open their eyes, of course, so we can tell the difference between amber eyes and the young girl. And she was one of my favorites when I first arrived here and was introduced to the Nkuhuma Pride. Just because she was such a keen huntress. She was always the first one to go into stalking mode. Remember, we had that incredible sighting of her chasing around that big giraffe bull. That was really entertaining. And I'm still waiting for the day that the Nkuhumas take down a fully grown giraffe. I reckon with all the girls that are now in this pride, and hopefully these young cubs do make it to adulthood, I think that it would be a very, very strong pride. See, this little cub is looking good. Very nice coat. Not too much damage from the mange. Ears look good. Not too many ticks either. Obviously doing a good job at grooming a couple though. But that's to be expected when you're a young cub, because you don't quite do a very good job at grooming. You're a little bit inexperienced, and I think a little bit lazy as well. But when there's something stuck between your toes, there's nothing more frustrating. So it's important that you put enough effort in to get it out. And this is definitely the case. Well, we're going to hang around for a little bit longer and see what these Nkuhumas get up to. But for the moment, they're just having a siesta. So while they do this, let's shoot back across to Brent. And well, I don't even know where Brent is.
I'm still searching for that. Proving to be very elusive male leopard at the moment, Tingana. I'm going to check down the fire break, back around towards Mvubu Road. Hello, little one. Don't you dare run away. Oh, and off it goes. Murphy's Law with the little Steenbok. There we go. Little, beautiful. Oh, off it goes. Don't like to hang around when you're bite-sized. Across the road. Put up. Where could this leopard be? Hyena tracks. Hi, Mike would like to know, would a drone frighten the leopards? Not in my experience at all, Mike. They seem to ignore it completely. Lion, leopard and hyena seem to take no notice of the drone whatsoever. I was hoping to find some leopard tracks here, but I have found something else.
Hello. We are still on the prowl. There was a male leopard seen in this area earlier. We're trying to see if we can get his tracks. We haven't picked up anything as of yet, but let's keep moving and see if we can pick up anything. I was also looking for one of those bulbs, but I haven't found one yet. I'd like to keep going and try and make that whistle. I've got a couple of tips from Herbert as how to make it properly and get it working. There's a spider web here. Just look at, I nearly broke its web. It looks like it's just started making it. It's probably attached it here. It might be living in the tree somewhere at the moment. Probably attached it here. You can see it's anchored a bit, and then had a drift with the wind, this little strand all the way through to this tree here. where it got attached again. Here, and maybe tonight it'll come out and make a bit of a bigger web in the middle somewhere to catch some insects. I don't know exactly what spider made this, but yeah, it's quite interesting. It's amazing how strong they are. You can see the play that it has. It's a bit difficult to see there. This plant looks like a paper bark. It's a thorn tree. It's an acacia species. And apparently you can use these thorns to... Sorry, Herbert's just spotted something. Let's quickly move to him, see what he's seen there. What are you looking at, Obi? Some dwarf mongoose. Some are on this termite mound to our right. There's a little guy on this fallen log. I don't know if you can see it. If you just come past me, you can just see his head sticking out in the sun. Beautiful. So while Taylor is looking at the amazing lions, we are with the smallest mammalian predator that we have in this area. Yeah, that's them calling, contact calling. Some more busy. It looks like they want to come out, maybe. Don't know, I can't see them yet. But the call is coming from the termite mound, from one of the holes that they have. So these guys, they live in little colonies of a couple of group members, maybe 10, 15 members together, moving around, not very far from the safety of their termite mound, looking for food, foraging around, looking for insects to feed on. Let's see, we might get a nice shot here. And any alarm that they do get, anything that scares them, they run back into cavities of trees. There, it's just gone into its hole. You can just see him sticking out there. So that's a perfect place for him to hide away from any predators. Maybe birds of prey that want to catch it. Maybe a snake. These guys are not like the banded mongoose that do kill snakes. So I've never seen them or heard of them killing snakes. I might be wrong, but I don't know of any cases like that. So yeah, with them, you often see them feeding with yellow-billed hornbills. The hornbills fluttering around, also catching insects, and it's also a nice way for both species to have a bit of extra safety, extra eyes and ears looking out for things. I know the fork-tailed drongo, I don't know if you saw one this morning on drive, they mimic calls of other birds, and sometimes they'll call like a pearl-spotted owlet. And I've heard that with meerkat, with surrogates in the Kalahari Desert, they mimic that call and they chase. The animals leave a nice prey that they caught, run into their holes, scurry away, and this bird comes in and takes it and steals it from them. They don't do it too often because you don't want to be the boy that cries wolf the whole time. So they do it every now and then when they see a nice juicy insect for them to eat, steal it from them and carry on. Let's see what else is in this area. Getting back to that paper bark and the thorns, it looks like there's one here. Let's just get back to that. These thorns, you dry them out, you crush them up, mix that with water, and if you've got a sore in your eye or maybe dried out eyes again, you can put that mixture into your eye and that should clear it up according to the local knowledge. Brian, you are saying that the mongoose we were looking at is looking like a baby, or it looked like a baby. It does, I think so. It looked like a youngster. It was still very small compared to the bigger ones. Not that they are the most big or the biggest thing out here, but yeah, that had probably a body of about this big. The adults get maybe a little bit bigger like this, I would guess. So yeah, definitely a youngster. Quite nice to see that they're so relaxed with us. Normally it's the youngsters that are in first. They're not as used to human presence and people moving around in the bush as the adults would have been, having had and experienced people around them maybe a bit more often, or a few times at least. Here's an interesting digging. Something was looking for roots and rhizomes. Something. I think this is a porcupine that dug here. It looks like a porcupine that dug here. Dug out roots. You can see there's maybe a bit of feeding here, I don't know. Looks like it. Yeah, maybe looking for the shape of this kind of gives me the idea of it being a porcupine. If it was something like an aardvark, it would have been maybe a lot bigger, and there would have been a termite mound. So aardvark, they eat the termites in a termite mound. There's no sign that there's a termite mound in the area, and all these uprooted grass roots gives me the idea that this is most likely a porcupine that was feeding here. Sometimes when you track porcupines, or you see their tracks, you can see the claw marks that's on the stomach or at the back. As they walked, you see these little fine lines in the ground where they walked. This isn't a recent one, so I don't think we'll see any tracks or claw marks. We are going to head over to Brent. He's got a feathered friend.
Look at this, one of our less seen little francolin species, the coqui francolin. Oh, are you going to hop, hop, hop? There we go. Oh, into the grass. Beautiful little things. The coqui francolin. Now, we've been looking for Tingana for quite some time now, and I've just decided, let us just give the area a break. We'll come back when it's a bit cooler and he's more likely to be on the move. Oh, hello. What have we got there? We've got some kudus. Yay, an animal! Other than the impala that snorted and the steenbokkie, we haven't seen too many mammal species today, so let's go have a look at the kudu. Nice little herd of kudu. Don't